will be able to see you as you speak. It goes to the person speaking. Like, so if I stood up and started speaking,
And we've got
that
you.
person online will be able to see.
Really?
me.
So it is
Yeah,
doing
no,
that. Oh, that's
And
interesting.
then they didn't have any trouble hearing me last time when I was sitting here.
That's interesting. So that's the lens that follows
I
the.
gotta turn that on,
that's pretty
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it is pretty
Wow.
amazing.
Wow.
Rebecca and Corey, can you hear us okay?
Yep, we can hear you fine.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
have Missy and Doug.
No, right now, the only ones we have in this room, we just have our conference room and 2 online.
Okay.
Oh, sure, sure, why not? Why not?
Well, here's what we should have been given back when.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. So the thing I'm
Yeah,
still
well,
not certain,
after the meeting.
I don't know that the PO has to come from the town. I don't know why the state can't do it. If they do, this ordinance doesn't matter. We'll get to that,
Well, yeah,
because it depends who writes the order.
I had a long discussion with Matt and with Fred.
Oh, I fully agree. If the town of Ledyard writes the order, this ordinance applies.
This is.
But if Mary were to say, well, they're paying for it, if they issue it, this thing, I can wipe my rear end with it. It doesn't mean anything.
That was where I was,
Yeah.
I was.
But that's not for us. I think what it is, I think Matt contacting Mary and just to describe, find out how this works,
Yes,
because he hasn't done this before.
no. Well, too, he was kind of new on the job when we were doing this and putting it out. So, I mean, I like to
Hey,
cut a little bit of slack.
No, and
there, but
I don't,
Hey.
I don't think we have, it's not any fault of his. He's pointed out something that's very true. Look, Vin, the town can't do this. I don't disagree. I do agree with that. That makes all the sense. But my question is the town issuing the order or is the state? Because if it's the state, the Ledyard
it's-
ordinance is meaningless. Now, if
Yeah.
Mary says
They
no,
talk about, you can read here, they mention grants, one of the clauses here. so-
okay,
All right,
thank you for this.
who else is on?
Hey, Ben, Doug Joy.
Okay, good. Do you know if Missy's gonna join us?
I think she's on.
Missy, you on? No response.
Just a minute. Let me IM her.
I hadn't heard from her that she wouldn't be, so I'm assuming. I know Ken contacted me, he can't make it, and Jay contacted me that he can't make it. So right now, we've got 4, so we can hold a meeting. Missy would make 5 if she's available.
Hey, he was actually the one who alerted me because I had forgot. So
Seriously.
I think we should give her a few more minutes or start the meeting.
yeah, let me. He dropped.
This is sent to you with some of the paperwork when we were designing the sign. I don't know if that will help, help Roland remember what he did with this one.
Really like the sign.
Yeah, no, we did. It's not recycling. That's also good.
Yeah. Did you see the sign?
Yes.
What do you think?
I like it.
Looks pretty good, doesn't it?
So one of the things I had in my notes is kind of deals with plaques and stuff. Very, very nice.
Oh, Missy, hi.
Hello.
All
Sorry.
right. Welcome. Okay. I think we've got 5 of us here and that's all we're gonna have for tonight. So we'll start the meeting at about 7:06. Roll call is Ben is here. Bill
Here,
is here. Missy is here. Doug and Lance.
Yeah.
Ken and Jay are excused. And we've got Rebecca and Corey also here visually. And what did you?
My
Could you
name's,
give us your name? We'll put it into the minutes.
okay, my name's Earl Dyson Lamb. Oh, and my nickname's Ty. I go by Ty.
So Earl Lamb is also here.
welcome, Earl. How are you?
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Okay. Alternates, yeah. Lance, we'll appoint you as an alternate for this meeting.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. The first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our last meeting. Does anyone have any changes, corrections to those minutes?
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay, it's been
I'll
moved
second
to
that.
accept. Lance has seconded. All in favor? Say aye.
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 Unanimous. Okay, the next item is the fiscal report. And as of, I guess it was the beginning of this month is the latest financial sheets I have. The Lester House had $1,568 left, which is 22% of the original budget for the year. But that's pretty much spoken for, plus some with things that have come up recently. So things that have unexpected and cost more than we figured. The lawnmower, which is usually about $200, had several parts that needed to be replaced and so on. So that ended up like $400. And then our neutralization system at the house was not working at all. Basically, the acidic levels that I measured were down in the fives, the high fives. So that was eating away the pipe. So we had to have that taken care of, and that it wasn't just add some of the material to it. They had to clean out the old tank completely and kind of start over with gravel and so forth. So that was a $500 bill. That was a little more than we expected. We are transferring, thank goodness that the Sawmill is running a little bit leaner. And I think the big thing is the cost of the
Absolutely.
security system, right?
Makes
Is
all the difference.
a lot less than we'd figured.
A lot less.
So with their okay, I've transferred $700 from the Sawmill account to the Lester House to cover these different items. The Sawmill, before that transfer, had $5,800 left in the budget, which is about 85%. But that's pretty well spoken for, I think, at this point. All right, don't have any correspondence. So we'll move on to committee reports. Bill?
Yes, a couple items. The first, if you were listening, you probably heard a brief dialogue Vin and I had, and this relates to the condition assessment. This is the grant we received from the state. We had received a bid from James Grant, very knowledgeable. He brought out, if I shared last time, an individual with him, a mechanical engineer he was in a partner with, who was, so he was on top of her
She
game
was.
to say.
She's impressive.
Yeah. So we have one bid from James Grant. The other two organizations that are qualified with the state, Roxanne Brown and Marie Ennis, both decided to not submit a bid. I had engaged Mary Dunn with the state to make sure that she understood that. She felt it was okay. She realized there's only a limited number of parties that you can invite to participate. We made it available to 3, 2 of which came to the walkthrough. And so she felt that we were in fine ground proceeding. Then found out last week that the Ledyard Finance Director, Matt's last name, Matt Bonin, has some concern that there is an ordinance in the town that, orders of this size require some level of competition. The challenge is you just can't put a sign up saying, submit a bid here and just let anybody do it. So Matt will be speaking, will be engaging Mary, and he has her contact. And we'll find a path forward. The concern I have is if the town of Ledyard issues the order, the purchase order to James Grant and Associates or anybody else, then the provisions of the town ordinance certainly apply. The question here becomes one of, if the state did it, our ordinance wouldn't matter. And, so I think we have a little bit of work to figure out. And I know that Matt will engage Mary Dunn, and we'll find a good spot. If we have to, if it's required to, make the bid available, we'll do that, and we may need to adjust the time. We don't owe James an answer or anyone who would have bid until the 20th. So at this point, if we were able to, we would tell him, you are the selected
absolutely.
vendor. But we'll wait to hear what the
Yes.
Matt and Mary Dunn discussion entails. And if we have to go back and say, James, he knows that not everybody showed up for the walkthrough. And I'm certain that it's a small community. I'm certain he knows that Roxanne decided not to submit a bid either. And would understand if we have to go through, some administrative, process before we can make a decision.
Yeah.
So more to follow on that. I think at this point, I'm not prepared to think we can't make the August timeline because we had a month in there anyway. We really were driving to end of July. But I also know that Mary Dunn, from all the conversations, has been more than willing to suggest that if we had to,
We
that
could.
we could extend
That's
that.
what Matt really, I think he's gonna explain to her
Right,
the process that we missed, or, the administrative thing.
Right.
But I think the main thing is if we need an
More time,
extension,
yeah.
is that not a problem?
And
If it's
she,
not,
right, she's committed to me, it isn't in the past, and I have every reason to believe that'd be the case. This is a situation, since we're talking about the sawmill, I think the analogy here is fitting. This is a time not to rush to tell James one thing. I think we measure twice, we'll cut once. Once we know what the answer is, we can tell him either it's yours or we need 2 weeks to solicit additional
I mean,
bids.
it won't take, he just would have to resubmit his proposal.
Yeah, and I would talk to him about,
And-
what part do you need to adjust, just the dates?
Just the dates,
Right.
that would be the only change he.
And I would want to afford him the ability to do that electronically. not to have to go through, because what I had him do is he sent me the proposal. He also sent a letter to the mayor on the day, that said, we have submitted a bid, it's been provided electronically.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have to put him through that because he's already submitted a bid. We would just, so
Well, yeah, okay.
we'll find out once
But,
we have a
But
path forward.
it's embarrassing.
Well, he'll well,
Well,
what he does.
You know what, to go back to him and say, explain,
It
what's
is,
going
it's,
on. It just is
and
embarrassing.
maybe in retrospect, I know you shared, look, if we had understood this better, maybe we would have done things
Yeah,
differently.
yeah, if we had this ordinance,
Right.
I
And
think we would have given consideration to
right.
make sure we were,
And I think it's just as much, I mean, if we had it all to do again, we would have sat down with Matt, we would have talked about, we would have had a plan. When we didn't have 3 bids, we would have talked to him and it wouldn't have been a surprise. But I don't think you or I even thought to do that, and I don't think he thought to inject himself until we get to this point.
and let's face it, the state had gave us, there's 7 or 8 on their list of qualified
Right.
bidders.
Yeah.
So that's the field,
Right,
and we
we picked 3,
researched, Alan researched
Yeah.
all of them
the ones that had
and
mill
found
experience.
3
Right.
that had mill experience with 19th century mills, which are the ones. So the other ones, even if they submit, they don't have some of the experience we think is, but
Yeah. So we'll see, I'll wait and, we can engage.
yeah,
The 20th isn't until, was that this Friday? The plan was Friday, and we'll figure out a way to communicate to James
Okay.
based on what we hear.
But-
I'll be away, but I'll be accessible by email in the afternoon, and we can at least submit a notice to James to let him know whatever we find out.
yeah, I think we need to owe him that.
Yeah.
But if we have to put it out for a rebid, all I think we have to do is adjust the dates.
Correct.
That's the only thing that is
Right.
affected, right?
Yeah.
And that's it.
What I might do is adjust the need for the mandatory walkthrough.
Oh, that would have to be included in there.
Yeah, the problem becomes one of, if it's just random people, what that date might be. So let's find out, let's see what we hear back from Matt and Mary based on their conversation, and then we can
We'll go
adjust
from there.
accordingly.
Okay,
So the next item, so that is the condition assessment. The next item we had, Vin already alluded to, based on some favorable pricing on the security system, our budget was favorable enough to, afford the ability to move $700 to the Lester House expense.
Thank you.
And Alan, Alan's been working through all the things we had. I think he felt equally comfortable. We were in good shape. And then the last thing, this favorability is the result of, Vin's asked that we reach out to Integrated Security Solutions. And I had a really good discussion. We did a walkthrough. The pricing came back not only cheaper by far from what we had seen before, but also the ongoing annual monitoring service considerably cheaper. So right now, we're at a labor and material installation cost of $1,975 with a $360 a year annual maintenance. The reason the maintenance, and there is no need for a phone line or any cable service, it's all done via cellular. The only thing we don't know is that cellular signal at that location going to be sufficient? It's not doing video, and Ron believes it'll be fine. But it's quite possible we get in and find out it doesn't work as well as we want. And he can't do anything about that. We would then have to get a phone line. But at this point, if we don't need a phone line, it's really inexpensive. And my recommendation is that we would proceed with this installation. I don't believe we have to do anything, but Vin, you and I talked about at least bringing it to the commission to maybe have a vote or endorse.
I
moving
think
forward.
we should at this point, just to, bless it, so to speak, by the commission.
So I'd like to at least make the motion that we proceed with the security installation by Integrated Security Solutions in the amount of $1,975 for installation with a $360 annual monitoring fee.
Is there a second?
I'd second that.
Lance seconds it. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Bill's aye. Lance is aye. I'm aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Missy, and Doug,
I think we got Doug as well.
did Doug say aye? Okay, thank you. That's
And,
good. That'll be, I think, all of us can feel better about safety and what's going on at the sawmill when we get this system installed.
there is a side benefit to the system as well. We could choose not to enable this feature, or we could use it. And the way to work, when you open the door, there'll be a keypad if you're familiar with it, and you would type in a code to disarm it. What Ron suggested we do is that everyone who has a key has a different code. So that way, we could, if anything were to happen, a door was left ajar, or, you know, something, the lights were on, or got, you know, whatever it might be, we'd have a history of who was in at that time. And I think it'll just mean that all the volunteers will have to enroll them, give them the code, but we would do a different code for each person.
Sure, sounds like it'd
Yeah.
probably be worth it.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Would that cost?
Nope, no
that's
fee at
it.
all.
Oh, they
It's-
just have to flip a switch.
I think what would happen is myself and maybe others who would want it would be given the permission to add new people,
Yeah, okay.
you know. And so as we hand out keys, we would add them to the code and
So at this point, I'll proceed
With the purchase.
processing a purchase
Yep.
order.
and
to turn.
and Ron is working to plan an installation the week of May 30th. So I
Okay.
think that gives us enough time. He
Okay.
doesn't have a firm date yet, but if you let me know when we have the purchase order, I'll let him know and we'll get it installed.
All right, great,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, Lester House. Missy, Doug,
Yeah, I guess so. The big news is that the plaster work has been completed in the front parlor and it looks great. We have started painting. I still need to get up there this week to finish up the trim. We had planned to do the floors as well, but I don't think we're gonna have enough time to get the floors completed, so we may have to wait until after tour season to get the floors completed. In addition, we had an event out there on Saturday with meet your elected officials. I'm assuming it went well, Rebecca. I didn't hear anything from you, so I was unfortunately unable to attend, but that was our first big event for this year, aside from Rebecca's wedding. So
I saw Roxanne today
mhm.
and asked her about it. She said that, you know, it all went well, but they were disappointed in that only 10 residents showed up. So whatever that means, you know, well, it was a nice day.
Yeah,
and it's early in the spring, and I'm sure a lot of people have things they would rather do or need to do at this point, rather than come and meet the, you know, the town officials. But
we do have an event coming up with the Historic Society on June 4th. They're holding their annual meeting at the Lester House. So
We also have a permit this weekend.
what's that?
We also have the Girl Scouts this weekend.
That's right. We do have the Girl Scouts this weekend. And then I did see your email about Melissa. She did reach out to me. I just haven't heard back from her. So thanks for that.
Okay.
okay, good, thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Lance?
Well, on research, I'm afraid I don't have anything new to report on the signage issues that we've been talking about for a while now. But as I was just discussing with Vin, unfortunately, Gay and I have bought a new house in North Stonington, so I'm going to have to resign my seat on the commission. So the work of the research committee will have to be taken up by someone else. So to that end, I've brought the sample sign that Roland made in. I'll turn it over to Vin, and also I brought a couple of the designs for the ledyard oak that he used as a pattern to try to make an image of a tree.
Can you guys see it?
Yeah, sometimes I think he might be able to do a little bit better, but so I brought these sample images in as well. But no, I'm really sorry to be leaving the commission. I've enjoyed working with you guys.
I think there were two small signs that you and your group were considering.
We were
One at the
talking about,
Sawmill.
yes.
Was it one at the Sawmill?
Yes,
And
yes,
then
and
one
one
at-
for
I forget the other.
Yale's Ferry
the-
Community Center.
The community center.
Community
Gales
center,
Ferry,
those two.
yes.
So,
that was
and the
last-
money is there,
The money's
Roland,
there,
to get
yeah,
those two,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I know it will.
I mean, he's
Have
got
to be done.
$200,
I
right,
know, I
that
know.
we could spend on.
Yeah, and the signs
know.
are about $100 a piece.
So, I
So
just-
I'm afraid that, because I'm gonna be so busy with, selling our old house and making the move, I think I would like to resign from the committee immediately.
All right,
So
so that's something
for someone else
I think
to,
we'll have
to
to,
pick up.
pick up. Don't want them. The
Don't want the
money,
money to
we don't, I
go,
don't want
yeah,
to lose
go-
the
to go
$200.
That's for
And
sure.
we've got two good applications
Right,
there, I
right.
think. So
That's true. It's just picking up the wording for.
Yeah.
that.
well, there was another possibility too, I think. A bigger sign for the
Yes.
sawmill that
Yes,
kind of gave a little more, information
We
about
did,
it. Yeah,
we did
Right.
talk about that, but we
Right.
don't have a vendor for that at this point, which is why we haven't really moved forward with it. So if we could find a vendor for the larger sign and get some write-up, I think Alan said he would look into that. Then we could certainly go that route. I don't know who did the sign down at the end of Hurlbut here, but if we can maybe find out who did that, maybe we could reach out to them.
is that the
Okay.
one that
Because
Tony
we've-
Sibilia did with his?
I think you've
firm?
got, there's another couple
there's
hundred
another one.
bucks.
Well, I was talking about answering Missy's question about who did the large sign. She's talking about the one that Tony Sibilia did with his firm. Is
Yeah,
that,
who
is that
did-
correct? Tony Sibilia? Do you remember you and I worked a couple of years ago?
Yes,
making
yes,
a large
yes.
sign about.
Oh, yes,
Gales
yes.
Ferry. So he's a possible vendor for that kind of thing.
Okay, sure. Sure.
And the name of his company, I forget. It's
I
like,
don't.
Acme Signs in
I
Waterford,
don't-
something
I
like
don't
that. I forget.
Fast signs? Is he the fast signs guy?
Fast Signs, yes, that's exactly it. That's correct.
Yeah, which I think was a nice looking
I think
sign.
it works fine.
you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And it's held up
Right,
quite,
right,
quite well, so.
right. I think so too.
All right, but there's a couple $100
Yes.
in preservation that we could use for
Yes,
that.
yep.
If we can find a vendor and so forth. The thing is, purchase orders for this year, for this funding, have to be issued by like the first week in June. So if we find a vendor for that bigger sign, and we have a approximate cost for it, we just need to process a PO before the first week in June, because after that, they shut down all new POs for this fiscal year. They just shut it down. It doesn't mean the work can't be done. We can
We
actually,
need the PO.
yeah,
before the.
once the PO is out, we can actually, the work can flop over and be billed up through July, I believe, for the first part of August. But it's the
Right.
PO that has a short time.
Well, isn't it true that there was a PO for the $200 for rolling
got
for the
that.
small?
That's-
So that's
that's-
all set. You're
that's
talking
all
about
set.
for the
But
larger
if
signs.
we're gonna put
Right,
another
right.
PO out for
Right,
the bigger sign,
right.
we need to get that going
Right.
before, the beginning of June. But Lance, I'm very
Well,
sorry.
no, I'm
You're-
sorry to
You've been
be-
on this
I-
commission
it's been
for
a
a
long
long
time. No,
time,
it has been a
longer
long
than
time.
me, maybe.
No, you were on from the beginning, so not longer than you, but it's. been a
I
long
don't
time.
even know how long.
I lost track of
I
it.
can't
It's been a
remember.
long time.
Congratulations on the
when I
move.
first
Where are you
started.
moving to Stonington?
It's Hangman Hill Road.
Okay,
So it's kind of where, the Jonathan Edwards Winery is. It's a
yeah,
little
yeah,
to the
okay.
east of that. It's
Okay.
where, it still feels agricultural. It's
Yeah.
kind of nice.
Is it a historic property?
No, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
We
We're
don't want to
done.
maintain a historic property.
I hear you, right?
Built in 2006.
Good
Well,
for you.
congratulations, Lance.
Well,
You'll be
thank
missed.
you.
Yeah, you've been
Thanks.
missed
Yeah.
deeply.
sorry, but I want to thank you sincerely
No,
for
it's been a pleasure.
all the years that you've been involved and have helped preserve history here in our little town of Ledger. Okay, let's see. Ken's not here, but when he told me he couldn't make it, I asked him about the school and what needed to be done, and he said there is painting. It needs some painting. And there was something else too. And I gave him the same story. If you're gonna do that, we need a PO. So he's gonna talk to his painter friend who he works with. Well, he's not gonna, he said, go put out a PO for 500. That's what he's got. He said, because I know he'll do the work, he'll do it. And so I don't even have to wait for an estimate. It was like, hey, we need painting done. How much can you do for $500?
Exactly, right.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that's basically how that'll go. So I told him I would get the PO going to, I know who it is, he's on the books for that work. Anything on social media, Missy?
No, I have, being honest, I've dropped the ball on that, so I need to get back in there. It's been a little crazy here lately, so.
I just would like to give you a big thanks. You have done tremendous amount of work on the parlor with the prep work that I'm sure reduced the cost significantly. And then the painting that you've done a big part of it, but Doug also has contributed to that. So we're very grateful for your efforts. And just thank you so much.
No problem. Oh, a side note, we do have a window that fell out of the attic at the Lester house, so I know it's been patched, but we're probably gonna need to have somebody come out and take a look at it.
Okay,
Is it Missy, is it the entire window or a pane from the window?
Rebecca, you wanna answer
So-
that?
So it's actually the attic window above the kids' room. I was in the backyard and looked over and the entire bottom part of the window is gone.
Okay.
So Corey went up there today because he had to crawl through the insulation and I don't like doing that.
Yeah, I hear you, right.
So he found that there was like some like wire that was wrapped around some screws that was holding on the
holding it.
window. So he tried to wrap it again, but it doesn't quite fit back in the hole. So we're gonna get water in the kids' room.
It looks like our rain
that
chances.
sounds like that
pretty
needs some
so-
attention.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say.
As is it I think it's a carpenter is needed or a painter?
I would probably say a carpenter.
Carpenter, yeah, okay. All right, well, unless Mr. or Doug, you want to take that on, you get enough going, I think. I've got a few carpenter friends that I've used that I can contact to come take a look at it.
Yeah, we can work on that then. I'll reach out to you to see if I can get some contact information and then we'll go from there.
Okay, when I kind of get somebody, Missy, I'll get the information to you.
Okay.
And you can kind of coordinate it.
Yep.
Okay,
I can.
Okay, what's on here for old business is, I don't know that, well, Jay's not here, so I don't know if anybody else knows any more about this apple orchard project for the scout that the Eagle Scout proposed.
This
Yeah,
is
do
one
you know
from
any-
Grant, I don't, I know the scout and I know Brandon Graber had come a few months ago. I haven't heard an update on it,
Okay,
so.
He was here, the guy that came to the meeting last time was here this weekend for the Know
Okay.
Your Town. And he said the scout was still interested, so he didn't say how far that was coming along or anything. But he was still interested.
Yeah.
okay, so it's still alive.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Yes, Finn.
It's still, okay, all right, so we'll keep that there.
Hey, Ben, it's
Okay, I
Doug.
don't know if there's any other old business.
So Doug.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Ben, just the Eagle Scout project for the historic trees. Kim Coors over on Sleepy Hollow near me has an old tree that she would not mind being part of that project.
Okay. So we should just pass that along to the,
Oh, and was this, just so I'm tracking, Doug, this was the oak to put something around it, we talked about that, or is this something else? I'm not sure.
no,
No,
this
what-
is.
This was
Describe-
about the historic apple.
Oh,
project.
okay,
So we have more apples to add to the mix.
Oh,
Okay, got it.
Yes.
Okay,
right.
all right. I didn't know if it was something else, because, all right,
No,
Okay.
that's
I
it.
think Jay talking about, maybe creating something.
Yes, yeah,
This is not that.
that's another
Okay, got it,
potential
yeah,
project, but
got it.
that, we don't have an Eagle Scout, I don't think, ready to adopt that.
Okay. Thanks, Doug.
Okay, any new business? Would you like to, Earl, do you have something that you would like to say? This would be a good time to say it, if so.
So anyways, I've been away from the town for a while and I just moved back.
Welcome.
Thank you. And,
Well, why don't you, could you come up,
So-
yeah, to the end,
There you go.
because I want to make sure
the real
we
purpose I
pick
came,
pick you up on
okay,
this.
the real purpose I came here is just to get involved and hear what you guys are doing and things of that nature. And whoever's working on that sawmill, beautiful, because I went and visited on up the day like 3 weeks ago. And I'm sorry I missed the Lester House opening, but we were out of town. But some of the things I was thinking about and things that came up is, I don't know if you guys ever thought about having a ledgered historical trail, virtual / on the map, where I see a lot of towns they'll have on their roads, like a red line all through the town, hitting all the historical things. Then you can make a virtual mapping of that on a computer. And it'd be just a way to advertise it, because some of the old families know where everything is, but newer people, they might not have a clue where the old ice houses are, for say, on
Right.
town, in your house.
It's not a bad idea.
Some of the old families might know exactly where that house and stuff. But that was one idea.
So that would end up with what, like an app?
Yeah, you could have.
that
it'd be a
people would add
website
to
or
their
an app.
phones that they could then,
The really
Yeah.
fancy ones actually have radio stories, like when you
Yeah,
get
so like-
close and you can hear the story of the thing. But that might be too much. but-
Yeah, I mean, that is pretty neat, like a lot of them, a lot of the big outdoor, battlefields,
oh, yeah, yes,
You
yes.
drive there and you say, I'm at 14, and you hear
And then
the,
you get a
you get the
story,
narration of what happened at
Right.
this site. That would be interesting.
Yeah,
And these are just ideas.
I remember at Gettysburg,
Yeah,
that they
sure.
have one there, probably some of the others.
And the other thing is living history events. You guys ever done something like that? Because like when I was down south, there's groups of people, and it's like at Dennison House. They had these group of people are just looking for old places that they can set up, and some were doing living like Indian, Native Americans, reenactors, and they do living history events free. They just need to like find a place.
Mhm.
And like the Lester House, whatever years that is like, people dress up in like, but someone lives there, but you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
But really great stuff. And then,
This
Then-
this sounds like something the commission might be interested in, but I think the Historical Society, I would think would be interested in contributing to something like that, you know, it kind of is up along. the
We have
things-
something kind of like that, guys. Every weekend from 1 to 4:30, when the house is open and I'm dressed in my 6 layers of goodness. But to
Yeah,
get
that's-
more
yeah.
people involved would be great.
and I had just to not edify, but expand on that thought is like, there's this place down south and they would have like Christmas in Bedford, is the name of it was Old Bedford town. And if it's like the Lester House, for instance, it's like people had the old games and the old decorations and stuff, and they would dress up and people, and you pay a fee to come see this and stuff, so it's
It's
just.
a little bit like the 4th of July. Or
Yes,
4th of July, we do at the Lester House. There is, at the last couple of years, COVID has made it not quite, but, you know, in years past, it's been a pretty big
Mhm.
gathering and then puts on a pretty
We
good
also,
spread.
we also do the Yuletide at Christmas.
Right,
you know,
true.
yeah.
and then the
Yeah,
Yuletide.
you guys might be doing a lot of stuff. There's
Well-
just, like I said, I've been out of town. I don't know what you guys are doing now. Another one thing is, this is a more of a personal note. So apparently the Lambs have donated a lot of like ice sawing stuff to the Lester House a long time ago. And my father said, take the grain of salt to what my father says, but he says he doesn't think it is utilized at all at the Lester House. In the future, if you still have it and I can recondition it, it could either be put at the sawmill, because you did have a little display
We
about
do.
ice cutting and stuff, and I remember we had a liner there and some other things over there. And if not, our family itself might reset up something on our lands where we actually used to cut the ice on the pond there. But I was wondering if anyone would know in your sheds or somewhere over the Lester House, you have a bunch of old equipment that you might have just put in a corner somewhere.
This is like farm.
It's actually on display.
There would be saws and there would be a device that's about this big that you'd pull along the ice and make straight
Oh, yeah.
lines, so you know where to
Yeah, well, that
go.
would be at the Sawmill, right?
It's on
We have-
display in the barn. It's in the barn. We do have some of the stuff in the barn on display. The ice saws are on display. They're hanging on the wall. And then we
Like
have
I
the
said, you
ice
guys-
sleds on the
I
wall
mean,
in one of the stalls.
If it's being utilized, great, because.
Well, it's part of the display.
Yeah,
been
I mean,
shown
in the barn of all the, you know,
But that's great, if you got it like shown with
So I
signs.
tell you
and-
what, though, like if to the point tied to, and you said you go by Tyson or
Yes,
Ty.
Ty. Yes, sir.
The point that we could actually, in terms of a Yuletide thing, we don't do the sawmill at that time of year because we're not running the sawmill. But imagine if we were we were cutting ice there. And I don't know, weather's gotta cooperate there.
Yeah,
too,
a
but-
rare Christmas when
Right,
it's, you know,
you
How
know.
deep is that pond?
Yeah.
Does it freeze up good over there?
It eventually
Oh.
does, but I don't know, like Chris, I'm just thinking, there could be something there where like it could be used.
You could do it just on the shoreline and cut some, not, in a safe manner on the shoreline.
that would
pull
be,
it up.
that would be cool.
I'll get my waders, cause
But-
I know someone's falling in.
I think the problem is,
It's
we
not
just
full.
don't get the
Yeah.
cold weather
Yeah.
that we used to, but
But no,
that's not to say.
It's a great topic. I think
some
people are
winters-
interested That they used to saw ice and put it in ships and send it to the.
If we had a
south.
thin layer of ice, we might even donate some blocks of ice and make it look like you cut it.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, but
I think the idea is how would you get like an event where people would wanna come and see it? You know,
it's the old
But
days,
some-
if it was thick enough, you could have.
I'd be
You give it to-
People be
I'd be
ice skating
interested in
and you
seeing
could,
Yeah, me too.
You know?
February.
I just like to maybe get the saws conditioned so they actually, they had an edge to them too, that would be pretty neat.
So that's just a side, all these things are just ideas, and then, the other thing is, I have just a general concern, because I know one of the family houses is like in maybe an issue where it has to be torn down.
No,
But does any of the committees in Ledyard like research old houses and work with landowners to try to save them instead of them just tearing them down?
Hmm. Yeah, it's a tough topic. I mean, I don't know anyone.
I don't
that's
think.
done
This
it in
is- we could
town.
kind of talked about.
And a lot of this is
Wow.
the town just not being so hard on their regulations and working with landowners and where they would recondition it themselves.
Yeah.
So anyways, just something I can bring up later.
Let's just say in researching old houses,
No, this is like an existing house.
If you had a house,
I know it's a historical house. But based off what's going on with the town and stuff, the landowner may be forced to tear it down for no good reason when he would recondition it. But
why? Because it's uninhabitable?
it's
Where's
just
this- where's
the
I
zoning
haven't heard
laws
this.
and
Where's
they-
this coming from?
Say again?
Yeah, it's a tough topic, because,
Yeah.
it does happen, and, unless it's an historic district.
Yeah.
The town really has no
Don't, we
teeth.
don't,
Town can, try to talk and.
So for
persuade
instance, a
someone.
hypothetical, if a landowner had built a new house that they want to live in. And they had the original historic house. But because of zoning laws, you can't have the two houses there. The town is like forcing the individual to tear it down when they're all willing to make it like a wood shed or whatever and keeping the outside original and things like that.
yeah, I
And it's
mean,
like, can't a committee like this, like, what are we doing here? These are historical houses and we
That's-
won't have any if we keep on
But
forcing these landowners.
the problem is, I mean, we don't have an historic district. The only historic districts that the town has that are recognized and in the regulations are the Sawmill and the Lester House.
Yeah.
There are no other historic districts. And that's the way you usually,
So
We
maybe,
we do have the Gills Ferry District that is,
that's how
we-
I think,
Yeah.
preserve and make sure that the old house
yeah,
don't get, and if you want to tear down an old house in an historic district, you have to go through.
well, these people don't even want to tear it down.
right, that's the thing, that what they're saying, what he's saying is there's someone who has a house. They
Yeah.
built a new one. The town is gonna tell them, because of zoning, septic, or even just taxes,
Right,
they're gonna say,
Mm.
you gotta tear that down.
The zoning is such that if it's pre-existing, you might get away with it, but if you put up a new building, you can't put two houses on a parcel.
Single family.
That's
Right.
against our zoning
Right,
regulations.
and that's,
Period.
right, and that's the,
You would need a
very.
variance. I don't know if they've gone that route. to
there's a lot
apply
of things
for-
they want to do,
To ha-
but it sounds like, I would think the town might be more open to working with townspeople
No, they-
to save these kind of
The thing is-
situations. Especially when it's sitting on plenty of acreage. It's not like
Yeah.
on a half acre of land, it's sitting on plus 30 acres.
right.
Well, they're just going by their own regulations, basically.
But I think the variance has some merit to it. If you're not creating an issue where there's too much dwelling space on a quarter acre lot, like if you've got that
Mhm.
space, there,
Mm.
we could treat that thing as a shed. So then you probably you couldn't have, maybe bathroom facilities.
Right.
You could say, well, we're
A lot of ideas. that we
Yeah.
could look at. It just,
The first thing they should do is put an application through the zoning board of appeals.
Yeah.
If they haven't done that.
Mm.
And with the right conditions and so forth, they might be able to get a variance.
Yeah.
If that doesn't work, now you're talking C in court, Sonny. I mean, they would have to take the town to court to appeal that, right, what the ZBA decided. I agree with you. I mean, it's a crime
yeah, right.
to end up having to tear down one of these 1,700 houses or
No, it's
whatever.
a tough issue, I mean, I love old houses and I, visit them all the time, and unfortunately, it's a declining habit, the families don't pile the kids in the car and take them to Old Sturbridge Village or to
Yeah.
other historic houses as much as they used to. they're just declining numbers, so.
Right.
We're kind of fighting against that. You know, some people I know are working with the Davis, there's an old Davis house in Stonington, and you would think Stonington, you know, there are a lot of people pretty darn wealthy. They're still having a time preserving that 18th century house, because, you know, it's, unless a house, you know, unless a family is rich enough to endow it and give it to a not-for-profit, endow it with enough money to spin off interest to
Cover
support
the,
it.
right.
You know, even these organizations that like, you know, Connecticut Landmarks, they won't accept a house as a donation unless it comes with an endowment these days. You know, 'cause they've gotten into financial trouble otherwise. So it's a real tough question, and there's no easy
Yeah.
answer, obviously.
I mean, just my personal feeling in terms of historic districts. I think the village,
Yeah,
Would
Galesbury
make a
Village
really-
would
you know,
qualify. That's
that's
been
what-
talked
that's-
about.
just,
It's been talked about in the past.
But-
You have
but-
to get the consent of all the landowners.
you have to get the homeowners
Yeah.
to
When you
agree
say
to
the
that,
village, what are you?
The town.
Gales Ferry Village. You're
Oh.
talking about Gales Ferry Village? Yeah,
you know.
because
And
that's
that-
a, you know, compact, massive.
Some people
houses.
just don't want to have to
Deal with it.
deal with it and have somebody tell them what they
No,
can
no,
and
no,
cannot
it is-
do
that's
to their
true.
home.
That's true.
I mean, that's really, I think, what it comes down.
So my last idea and thoughts was, and why I said, oh, what a great looking plaque is.
Mm.
If a homeowner has, like, I'll just say like the Jacob Lamb house, which is next to our house. You know, it's like the first water tower in the town, first running water in the town there. And it's like, if they wanted the plaque, I mean, they can make it themselves, but do we have a standardized ledger? I
We
mean,
do.
go.
Why don't you ask?
That's right. Well,
Because
I'm glad you asked.
and that's why I said that, if we do,
No,
can we
there
approach
it
these
is.
people,
Yes.
like, say, hey, you wanna put one up? And-
Yes. No, we're just beginning, and this is a prototype, and there's a great sign maker named Roland Foster who lives in Ledyard. And he does all the signs for New London, Mystic, Stonington.
Yeah.
It's a very good, you know, this is all hand lettered.
Right.
And so we worked, you know, Missy and Doug and I worked to get a design it kind of reflects, there are a number of houses in Gales Ferry Village that have that kind of format with the, you know, that kind of pale green. And then we decided, well, let's have the Ledyard oak as the logo. So that's a
Right.
prototype. You know,
That's the unique.
Roland misunderstood, and we were gonna do one for Missy's house, but this was for, I just, you know, sketched out something for a house that doesn't exist. So we have a plaque for a house that doesn't exist, but he's ready to go up and do it. He's very
Yeah.
reasonable in price. He charges $95 for a sign like that. You know, you go online,
Very
it costs quite a
reasonable.
bit more than that. And he's ready to go. We just have to, you know, tell him what text and he'll
Cause
do
if you
it.
had the one that's approved in standard, there's like, just top of my head, just on our road alone, 7 old houses.
Right.
And to me, we all, cause I'm from an old farm family, the
Right.
barns, like the Roach barn on 117,
Oh,
the Lamb's barn on near Eddie's house, the White House.
That would be a good idea too.
And
Historic
then-
barns.
Yeah, and the old field barn, so,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
all that's, and that's where it goes back to that heritage trail, where
Right.
once these signs in, that would be.
Oh, yeah,
good
right.
too, so.
Now, we're hoping this is the beginning of, you know.
Yeah, that's
movement.
awesome.
To
Okay,
see
so
more
you-
in town, because you see them all over, you know, Mystic, all over New London. And we should do the same. We should
Yeah,
be.
so you're already
worse
on
than
top
them.
of it.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Okay, anyways, that's it. Thank you.
Well, thank
Appreciate your
you.
time.
Okay,
Thanks, Doug.
thank you. Appreciate your comments and inputs. Okay. Any other business? And I'll entertain a meeting to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I'd second that.
Bill makes it, Lance seconds it. All in favor to adjourn?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Okay, I think that's
Okay.
unanimous. All right, thank you all.
Vin, I'm sorry, we have to vote on what we're gonna, is it? Vote on whether we cancel July and August?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, thanks, guys.
Hey, thank you for
Nice to
coming.
meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you and welcome home.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Have a good
Bye-bye.
now, Sal.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank
and a
you.
new life.
Um,
definitely, give you that, give you that. Yeah, I know, Missy and Doug obviously, have their hands
So
full
they,
with the Lester
yeah.
House,
so
but
maybe
maybe it should be passed on to one of them.
Doug on it for this, so
Yep,
hopefully they can,
yeah, they can continue.
pick it up.
Okay.
Keep it going.
Okay,
because
well, it's been a pleasure.
You got
Working
it,
with you guys.
you got it going pretty well.
Yep.
I think.
I won't be that far away, but.
I wish you the best.
Oh,
and thank you
thanks,
For everything.
thanks. It's kind of exciting. Exciting but daunting at the same time.
Your new home, where is it?
Hangman Hill Road.
Where?
Hangman,